Mabrika, Mabrika, Mabrika. What's up, my people? Rahubat, Shalom, Shalom Aleika, Assalamu Alaikum, and all them good greetings. And Mabrika in Taino. Well, I wanted to continue on because where we left off in the other podcast was in the garden and the fruit. So we we're discussing about the fruit. But once again, let me reiterate one thing that the backstory to the biblical narrative is very important. The geographic area where the script, this plots are being narrated is very important. And so when I go in like this, and I go into the Hebrews, and I also go into the holy tablets, as I'm putting it all together. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need to do, is to put it all together. And then you get the full story. You get the backstories about the characters, the plot, and you also get the backstory of the geographic area, right? So we were talking about the fruit, right? Well, why is it called fruit? An apple is because the pomegranate fruit is another fruit that grows abundantly throughout Asia and throughout that area where the biblical narrative is being staged, right? So another one of the fruits that grows in that area, which is known as the poppy plant, the poppy fruit. And remember, the fruit that was in the middle of that garden was good for food. So you have poppy seed that makes the bread, right? And it was pleasant to the eyes. They're very colorful, very beautiful fruits. They're very colorful. Okay, you just Google poppy plants, and you see how they grow. Okay, and the seeds are used for food. And when you ingest this fruit, the juice from it's where they get the heroin, it's where they get the morphine, it's where they get the opium, and it makes you think that you wise, okay, and it opens you up, you become observant, okay. So all of the evidence is there, okay. Just have to do research on it and you'll see, okay. So it's speaking about this fruit, and now the Elohims were already involved with this fruit harvest of these particular plant trees. They was harvesting it, and they made themselves a group of people who were not supposed to get involved in that industry, which been going on for centuries, century, in Asia, and even China, and even in Mexico. Okay, this poppy fruit grows in China. It grows in Mexico, and I'm going to give you a little key as to how you know the difference of that particular fruit. So in the biblical narrative, right? This serpent, or Nakash, who was the head of the serpent people, which, like, you have the flying serpent. These people were invested. These people's symbol was the serpent symbol, and it's in throughout the world. You have the Illuminati using the serpent, the flying serpent. You have in China when they had the New Year, it's the dragon. The dragon is a flying serpent. These people of this particular culture worked its way into Asia, worked its way in there by elaborating, festivals, and they marched their way in there. And so this was different for Nakaba and those nuns. Okay, did not know that because the Adamic Adam did not in any way let Nakaba or the nuns, the priesthood didn't let the nuns know about the nature of these particular people, which were the serpent people. Okay, they didn't let them know that nature. So when the serpent people came into the garden, these tribes, they enticed the woman, all those nuns. They enticed them with, first of all, with vanity. Show them, hey, this food's gonna make you feel good. It's gonna make you won't age. You know, you won't age. It's gonna make you feel good. It's gonna, you're observing. Your eyes will be open. You're gonna feel sexy, whatever. I mean, I'm just putting it in modern terms. You know what I'm saying? When you really look at it, you know. And so once the woman ingested it, once I won't say women, not all women, once this particular tribe of nuns ingested and started hanging out with these serpent-like crafty pimps, I call them, and started to get involved with them, right? What happened? Their character changed. And when they went over to the priesthood, to the priests, the men or the priests, what happened? They went in there with a whole different mindset, sexy, lustful, enticing the man. Okay, and so he knew that the priest knew, Zakat knew what went down. Okay, so they also followed, but they ingested it also. And then what happened when they talk about they hid in the trees is they hid because if you know anything about that world of drug abuse, of especially the heroin user, they hide to do their thing. You don't see it out in the open. They hide. Okay, they hide and they make themselves a pact with each other. Okay, a pact with each other. It's like a secret underground world. You know, if you look at it like that, and this is what the biblical narrative talk about when they hid. And then they heard the noise, they heard the voice or the noise or the tones of these Elohims, and the Elohims automatically knew because they asked them, "Where are you? Why are you hiding like that? What are you doing?" When you see certain people hiding in the bushes and getting high, and you want to they're hiding. You want to know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Ah, you did this and this and that. You partook of this. You partook of that apple. I got you now. And then what happened? The first, the first character or the first personality that came into play by ingesting that was deceit. Okay, because the serpent, the deceit, trick, deceived the nuns, right? Deceit, and she learned that, and she did that in terms to the priest. Then it was then vanity came into play, and then of course shame. That's what they had to hide. There's the shame of doing that. You see people do using heroin. They're ashamed. They're hiding. They're ashamed, and they hit themselves off shamefully. You know, guilt. They have a sense of guilt, and then comes the blame. Well, the woman that you gave me, and the woman's like, well, the serpent that was there, he beguiled me. Blame. So this is all those characteristics started to come into play, started to come into the character. The shame, the deceit, the vanity, the shame, the guilt, and the blame. Okay. And then they were ousted out of the garden. Now, the dragon race was told, now you will eat of the dust of the ground. You will crawl on your belly. They become the lowest of the lowest. Crawl on their belly, and they will do what? Be at odds with the seeds of those nuns. And the seeds of nuns will be at odds with them. That means there will be a conflict between both of them. And they will immediately ousted to where? To where you call Nod. You see, because Nod was formed by those fallen angels, but then the serpent race went in Nod, right? Because when you look up the word Nod in Hebrew, it means vacancy. And that means homelessness and drug abuse. So this was a city where people were in camps of homelessness, a big camp, a city of a camp of homelessness, and drug abuse was rampant. And this was the city of Nod that we will talk about later on. Okay, and so this city started developing like that. And then the priests were ousted out of the garden, and the nuns, and they went separate ways. That's it. When you look into the holy, the tablets and the suhuf and these ancient tablets, it talks about how that that the there was a tribe of women that went one way, and the tribe of the men who were Watutsi and Hindus was the Adamic race went one way, and the Pygmy and the Anath, Pygmy and the Khoikhoi, the Sansan went another way. Right, more the Khoikhoi went more to South Africa, right, and mixed in with other. Well, they came from the Khoikhoi, but that mixture went back into South Africa, that area, and Uganda went back, that mixture. Okay. And the Watutsi and Hindus, that mixture went into the Sudan area, where you got the Dongolawes and you got the what, the tall tribes, you know what I'm saying? And had more of a Hindu script, where you get the Arabic and the Hebrew. It's like looks like a Hindu script. Well, anyway, we'll go deeper into that. I don't want to stay too long, but now, as they were ousted, it talks about in these other sacred documents of how they went their separate ways, and for 1,000 years they didn't see each other for almost 1,000 years. That in them days, 1,000 years was not a long. I mean, because time was different. You know what I'm saying? But for 1,000 years, and then when they came together in Mount Arafat. When you look at Mount Arafat, the name Arafat, Araf means to know. So they knew each other again in Mount Arafat. They came together, and they started in Saudi Arabia. They started to take care of that area. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they started calling back upon the Elohims, to try to get back into the good gracious of the Elohims. But remember, when you look at the Bible narrative and you look into the story of these Elohims and the Anunnakis, you say to yourself, man, they were doing some crazy stuff. It was a different mindset. I mean, there was some crazy stuff happening when you really look at the story of the Anunnaki. Just read the Enuma Elish, read the Epic of Gilgamesh. Read those tablets. You can read those. Zachariah Sitchin did a translations of it. Zachariah Sitchin, the Holy Tablets from Malachi Zion. He gives those accounts of what he got from Zachariah Sitchin and other master, and he put in his pieces in there. I mean, those tablets are out there. You know what I'm saying? It's nice if you learn how to read cuneiform and you actually translate it yourself. Like you could do that with a concordance. Okay? I'm sure they have them. You know what I'm saying? I haven't gotten deeper involved because I'm not invested in that story. My story is more towards Kemet. You know what I'm saying? And the Taino, Atlanta, Utla, which they misnomer as Atlantis. Okay, and we're going to talk about that later on too. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I wanted to leave you with that story, that narrative, that biblical narrative. You have to put the pieces together. And if anybody know, for instance, this industry, well, at one time there was an opiate epidemic. This has been going on for centuries. And they had the opium war between England and China. Because let me tell you something. This tree of good and evil, what they call the opium, the poppy plant or the opium plant, right? Doesn't only grow there; it also grows in China. I don't know whether they took it from there or whatever, but it grows in China and it grows in Mexico and Central America. That's why that's why in the heroin industry, and if the user is aware, he knows if the product that he's using came from the Middle East or China or Mexico, and they know it by the color of the particular heroin. The color. For instance, the ones that come out of the Middle East is a brown. It's colorful, but then it becomes brown. The juice, brown. That's the stuff that comes out of the Middle East and in some areas in Vietnam. But when you go to China, what they call is a China white. It's white. China white. Very powerful. But then you have junkies that be like, yo, that's that China white. That's that good stuff. And then you got the brown stuff that's coming from where? Afghanistan, that the military, when you look at brings over, and Vietnam, in that area, more towards that area, and Afghanistan and Iraq and those places. Then when you go to Mexico, they got what they call black tar. It's a black, and then it turns grayish type of heroin. So you could tell where the heroin is coming from. Why? Geographic location, because this plant grows there. This is an industry. And then when they do it, they make morphine, they make medical pharmaceuticals out of this plant. Because this plant, remember, good and evil, and the word good, taub, in Hebrew means pleasant. It makes you feel pleasant. At the same time, it makes you feel displeased when you don't have it, and you go into what they call cold turkey. You can become displeased. So you have the knowledge of both, the knowledge of being pleasant and the knowledge of being displeased, the good and bad. You just got to look at the Hebrew word for that in the scriptures. The Hebrew word will tell you, and you got to put the pieces together. You got to put your imagination. You got to say, wow, it was an industry that goes way back. So the biblical industry, the biblical narrative is a narrative about a certain geographic area that has a certain culture and industry. And what they've done is they've taken the knowledge, right? And they had mimic, like for instance, the hypnotic spell. They put you in a spell, they put you complicit. They put you in that sunken place with pharmaceutical. Because remember, you had the 5 Ps, but now that's a 5-pointed star. But remember, there's a 6-pointed star, and they added an extra P to it, which comes out of Israel, and that's the pharmaceutical. The P, pharmaceutical. So 6-pointed star represents politics, polytheism, psychology, philosophy, the penal system, and pharmaceutical industry system. Okay, and Israeli is in the forefront of all that. That's their stamp. Okay, and that's why you have the sheriff with the 6-pointed star. They are the protectors. The sharif the sharif come from the word sharif in Arabic. They were the protector of the caravans that brought goods in and out. So your sheriff department is your county that protects your borders and watch the trafficking coming in and out. This could go deep, y'all. Deep, deep, deep. You know what I'm saying? But the 5-pointed star comes out of Babylonia, okay? And they hid that 6-point. That was for the chosen one who were the manufacturer of that particular plant. So it's everywhere. But anyway, let me leave you at that. Okay. I didn't want to make this too long, but next time we'll talk about after Mount Arafat and they came together, and then you got Cain that goes into the city of Nod, which was already there because that serpent race was ousted, and that's where they went. Okay, and what he encountered and how the mark that he was given that was to sort of like protect him. Okay, and we'll talk about that. Okay, but all of this leads up to this biblical narrative, and the point I'm trying to make is that you got a lot of pastor that pasteurizes the people, okay, with the words and the brimstone and all this, and they can say the word, okay, but they don't know what they're doing, and they just continuing this translation, putting you more into trance, keeping you in the sunken place. Because when you start gaining this knowledge of knowing, not believing, but knowing, then you say, I'm free. I mean, I'm a good person. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I could be in the church, a synagogue. I could go anywhere. And I'm a good person no matter what. I don't need religion to make me a good person because that naturally I'm a good person. That's it. Okay. But then we'll talk about fellowship and where that comes from, the Masonic school, and we'll talk about the skills and the different organizations, the skills that comes from also the biblical narrative. The Masonry comes from Nimrod, who were that they said was the mighty hunter against the Lord. He was against those Anunnaki. He was against those Elohims. And Elohims, when you talk about Elohims in this realm, are what you call magistrates, judges, people of higher degrees that sat on different offices, visors, supervisors, offices. Like today, that would be considered an Elohim because he is a descendant of the Ilah, the etheric form, the Ilah, and he sits on those decrees. But then we're gonna go over. We're going to go into that about the crown and the Messiah and his crown, whatever. But anyway, peace. Love you all. Like the video, subscribe, and like the video because I'm going on and on and on and on. Okay, and then we're also going to talk about current events. Peace.